Hello and welcome to the Online Trainers Podcast, where we go behind the scenes to uncover the latest tactics and strategies top trainers around the world are using to get more clients, dominate their marketplace, and get their clients amazing results. There is absolutely no fluff here. I'm your host, Lynn Trin. Hello and welcome to episode 220 on the Online Trainers Podcast. Today's topic is identity shifting. So I've got about 2 more weeks until me and Kerry head over to America for a month. It's going to be a pretty intense trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. We go over there for Russell Brunson's Funnel Hacking Live event. We'll be around. We'll head over to New York. And I think, it'll be truly the first time where we take a step away from the business and see how it operates without us being there. So over the last couple of weeks, my job's been it's been pretty hectic trying to set up our coaching company, trying to set everything, in terms of systems, in terms of generating leads, seeing the sales systems work, seeing the delivery and the fulfillment system work. And it's been pretty amazing. So I just remember, and I want to talk about this in the podcast because I think it's so important to reevaluate where you are. I think something that I am becoming more aware of is the identity that I have. And what I mean by the identity is, if you want to create change inside of your life, and I think this is a big thing, if you want to create long-lasting change in other people's lives, especially your clients, they have to view themselves as somebody different. And what I mean by that is, for a long time, me staying in shape was simple because I had an identity. And I think for most personal trainers, if you're listening to this, you're probably in good shape. You know how to exercise. You're not in that obese category that the majority of the population is currently in. And so, something that I've had to work with, over the last 2 years is, how do I get people to change? How do I get people to change? How do we stop focusing on tactics? And I want to talk about this because, so many of us focus inside of business and inside of our health and inside of our life on the external tactics. And it's been a passion of mine to figure this out because, it's really funny to see people go on diets. It's really funny to observe trainers, take on Facebook marketing courses and all of that stuff. And all that's well and good. But there's a fundamental flaw. And the fundamental flaw lies in the identity. And what I mean by this, and the reasons why I want to bring this up, is because tactics are very temporary. Tactics are going to get you, it might get you the result. Tactics might help that person lose 10 kilos. And tactically, a female, getting ready for a wedding, she might lose that 10 kilos and she might reach a goal. She might look fabulous on the wedding day. But then, we see this thing called blowout. We see so many people yo-yo. I see so many people generate leads inside of their business and make money, but they're unable to keep it. They're not able to keep that every single month. They're unable to build upon it. And I want you to think about this for a second. I want you to think about your clients, and I want you to think about somebody losing 10 kilos and, them dropping a lot of weight, them doing some intermittent fasting, them dropping their carbs, they lose it. And the question that you probably think is that sustainable? How long can they keep it for? And ultimately the goal is this. I think the goal as a health and fitness professional is really, understanding human psychology and understanding how to create change, long-lasting change, not temporary tactics. Because truth be told, your clients can Google the temporary tactics. Your clients can, drop the carbs. Your clients can try keto. Your clients can get on detoxes and all of that stuff. And all of that's temporary. And the reasons why it's temporary is because they're focusing on not shifting their identity. Okay, and I look at this in 2 parts. There's the external factors to change, which is your tactics, which is your strategies. It's what to eat. It's everything outside of you internally. It's what exercise do I do? What diet do I go on? These are the questions that you might ask. And then there's the internal shift that you have to make. If you want if you want to keep it off and you want to build upon it. And most people are so driven by the external change, like, okay, what's the best diet? What's the quick fix? What's X, Y, and Z? And you and I both know this, which is why, you're listening to this podcast. And it's the same thing with your business. If you're focused on the external change, what's that latest lead generation strategy? What's the sales system? How do I do webinars? What should I write in my emails? How do I convert a lead? How do I start a podcast? How do I get more likes? These are all externally driven. And then the internal drive is the identity of who you want to become. And so I say this. I say, if I had a client and she wanted to lose weight, she wanted to live a better life, and she wanted to be happy, and she didn't want to starve herself. Well, the external shift would be, well, she does exercise and she diets, and she knows that, and she begins to do it. But internally, she hasn't changed her identity. And this is important for you to understand. And I think it's super, super important as we dive into it, is that as you begin to shift that identity internally, she hasn't changed her identity. She's still that same person that she was, with the same habits, with the same thoughts, with the same feelings, with the same emotions, with the same, binge eating mechanism that comes up at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. after a big day at work. She does not change that identity. Then she's naturally not going to sustain the results. What I mean by that is, if she views herself as the same as before, she just thinks, well, she's a busy mum, and she's going on another diet, and she's hoping that this will work. She's not going to produce the same results as if she was thinking, wow, I'm a leader, I'm an athlete, I'm a role model to my kids. If you separate those two identities, and she just needs to see herself as a role model, an athlete, okay, that super mom, that power woman, that woman that her kids are proud of, then immediately, and she buys into that, then immediately her behavior starts to change. And what you'll start to notice is, you'll start to notice that she eats better. It might not be instant, but it's slowly over time, it's progressive. The reasons why I want to tell you about this is, if you imagine that, then you can imagine how important shifting somebody's identity is to help them to become better people, better leaders, better role models, people who don't sit on the couch hoping for that quick fix, who are at the effect of media, social media, magazines, and all of that stuff that we see online. The reasons why I want to share that with you is because if you want to shift someone's behavior, then you got to change their identity. And something that I want to dive into, and especially in this podcast, because I truly believe that, one of the biggest keys to shifting people is shifting their health. If you can change somebody physically, you then encourage them to adopt the same habits, routines, discipline, and apply it across all areas of life. And so I say this too, I want you to think about this, because when we see it with your client, it becomes easy. But when you see it when you're trying to grow yourself and your business, it becomes a little bit more difficult. The identity that you might have right now is this, and it is the reasons why you're not growing. It is the reasons why your business is not growing. And it's not because you don't have the tactics. It's simply because you're not allowing yourself to absorb the tactics. And I know that sounds really funny, but hear me out for a second. So let's say the identity you have right now is, Lynn, I'm just a personal trainer. And that's the identity that you hold. And it might be true that you have done personal training, but if the identity is I'm a personal trainer, you then default to going, well, I only know about health, fitness, training, and I count reps. Okay. Now, if we begin to shift that identity and go, okay, well, cool, I want to be a coach. I want to be a coach. That's the identity that you need to become, right? What's the identities that you need to take now? Well, what does a coach do? A coach actually begins to help people achieve the results, their outcomes, and they'll find the way. They'll find the quickest, most effective way to help somebody achieve the outcome and keep it off and be the number one most trusted advisor. Be that person that helps people achieve the goals. That's kind of my definition of what a coach is. And if you begin to become a coach, suddenly your behavior changes. Because now, if you want to become the best coach, you're going to suddenly start geeking out on stuff that you've never started geeking out on before, because that's the identity that you hold for yourself. What if you become the best coach and you build the best company? You want to grow the best coaching company for this particular group of people that you help. And that's the identity that you hold, that you want to be known for that. Then the set of actions that you're going to take, the set of skill sets that you're going to take, well, it naturally is going to come, because you're going to seek out, right, information based on that identity. And I'm going to have you consider the fact that you're not currently where you want to be is not because you don't have the external information, but simply the external information does not stick, because internally your identity does not match who you want to be. What I mean by that is, internally, you might be telling yourself, well, I'm a personal trainer. Internally, you're not telling yourself, I want to be the best coach. I am the best coach. Versus, I want to build the best coaching company, and I am building the best coaching company. And I want you to differentiate that versus just being a personal trainer, because now you have a different I suppose, viewing mechanism of how you're going to view information, what information you need to gather. You know, deep down, that if you have a goal to shift your identity, and this is who you are, right, all your clients get results, that you are relentless, that your identity is simply this, the best coach. You're known as the best coach, the most caring coach. Then you're going to behave in such a way that meets that identity. But if you go, I'm just a personal trainer, and this is how I used to identify myself with it initially at the start. And it was not until I began to shift identities that things started really taking off, like seriously taking off. But I used to just think I'm a personal trainer. And so what happens is I think small, because then I go, well, I am a personal trainer. There are millions of them out there. And I go, well, I'm the best personal trainer. That was the shift. Okay, cool. I'm a men's coach. I'm coaching them with mindset, psychology. I'm coaching them with behavioral change. I'm coaching them with, yes, health. But health isn't the issue, because health, if you focus on what to eat and what to exercise, you're focusing externally. If I can shift somebody's identity, the external thing becomes easy, because they start doing the things that falls in line with that identity. And if we go back to that mother example, she starts to see herself as a role model and an athlete. Okay, and that's who she identifies herself as. Then you don't need to tell her what to eat. You don't need to tell her what to do. She would naturally behave in line with her identity. And one thing that we're starting to see, and the reasons why I bring this up, this is so important. The reasons why I bring this up is simply because you and I both know there's no shortage of information, yet every single day there's going to be more information bombarding us. There's going to be more external factors. There's going to be more information. And every single day, it's exponential amount of information. So we're drowning now. Imagine next week, suddenly like 10 million more Google articles out there, right? And then imagine next year, there's like 100 billion more different pieces of information, more new blogs, yet no one's reading them. The reasons why I know what is changing, and in fact, people are becoming more obese, there's more disease, there's all of these other factors that come into play simply because, number one, people haven't shifted their identity. Okay? And so the whole point of our company and our coaching business is to enable leaders to create micro communities where you, right, can build a community of your particular audience and begin to shift their identity and begin to enable change and to begin to shift somebody and take somebody from being, well, I'm just this person, to going, no, you can become this person. And that is powerful, because if you shift that and you lead them, you lead by example, then the game will change. And so I want to leave this today with you. And it's more a question of, being completely transparent, going, right now, where in your business are you not making that identity shift? Because you and I both know that if a person stops following you tactically, well, they're goners. The difference between you and a PDF and Google, it's not very different. You're telling them the same thing. Google's telling them another. And so a way to begin to differentiate yourself is, once again, and I've spoken about this a lot inside of these podcasts, but I'm going a lot deeper, is begin to find your niche. Begin to create an identity shift for them, and go, well, this is who you can become, and begin to lead by example. One of the biggest things that will help you, this most strategic advantages inside of your business right now, is to do what you're telling other people to do. So lead by example. It's got nothing to do with health and fitness. It's got everything to do with being that person that your clients will look up to and showing them the light. Because if you don't, then you're not going to last. And the reasons why I say that is simply because the people who are rising to the top are the people that live what they teach, the people that breathe what they teach, the people that inspire people to others. And if there's one thing I can share with you, is that if you begin to shift somebody's identity, you will inflict long-lasting change. You're not just inflicting temporary, tactical, external change, the diet, the quick fix. When somebody finishes a 12-week program, they stop training with you, they're gone. You didn't do anything. Awesome. You taught them information, but you didn't change them internally. You didn't change the way they see themselves. And so this is important. This is a skill that, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably not the average trainer. The average trainer is going to blow this off. But if you're one of the thousands that listen and tune in daily, well, you want more. You want that edge. You want to know. You care. And that's fantastic. Because if you do care, then this is the way you need to go. This is the point of differentiation, where every single person is trying to sell the automated funnel. Those landing pages with tons of sales copy, selling that $27 ebook. And you want to copy that, and in your gut that shit's wrong, then you need to go right, and you need to lead. And that's life telling you that, hey, you need to step up, and you need to lead, and you need to have the courage to lead. Because a lot of people say they want to lead, but very few actually do, because it goes against the grain. It goes against being accepted in society. Leaders aren't accepted. Leaders lead. People who want to be accepted by the crowd never ever lead. And so I want to share that with you. I think, if you took away value, please let me know. If you found this interesting and you want to dive deeper, please let me know as well. Reach out to me on Facebook, and we'll continue the conversation there. But this is a movement that we're bringing to the health and fitness industry, because what we're seeing is an insane amount of people, insane amount of trainers, insane amount of leaders who have a voice, influencers, who aren't actually, focusing on the right things per se, focusing still on the tactics, and we're throwing stones at each other, and yet one way is not better than the other. Because if you focus externally, what happens if the person stops? If you focus internally, they'll naturally behave to who they identify themselves with. And so I want to leave you with that. And I hope this was insightful, and of course, as usual, I'll see you on the next episode. Alright, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on iTunes, and feel free to leave a review, and that way I can respond, and I can take that on board in developing content to serve you. Now, if you're not a part of the Online Trainers Club on Facebook, please do yourself a favor and be a part of the conversation. That's where I add daily tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can build out funnels, how you can get more clients, and ultimately become a better online coach. Thank you for listening.